Alright, we'll go ahead and do another budget ratchet set review. I already have one other DURATECH ratchet set that for home use that I like. I've added it to the collection. I went ahead and kept it. I thought it was pretty nice. It was the 1/2 inch low profile non-quick release style setup. It's in one of my older YouTube videos. But I had also purchased this same ratchet before, and I'm still using it in an industrial setting at work. I have like 5 different ratchets that I use around a big machine that I run to make different tool changes or head changes on the machine, and I don't like running around to different parts of the machine to try to find another ratchet, so I just bought one of these for pretty cheap on Amazon and have been using it. But I'd grown accustomed to it, and I thought maybe I'd like to just get the whole set to have here at home for my ratchet collection. I have quite a few ratchets that I collect, mostly vintage, but I've been starting to get some of these less expensive ratchets, and I've been putting some of them up on YouTube. But I bought this set used, like new, from this Great Star Industrial on Amazon. They have their own storefront on Amazon. You can buy this set new, but they're all separate. When I bought this when I bought the other one of these a year ago, you used to be able to get these in like an EVA foam tray, and I don't see that as an option now. So I would have had to have bought all 3 of them separately. But when I went looking for them, I have this Honey app on my phone, and I noticed that these had went down in price. It was going to be like, from $39 for if you bought all 3 of them separately, to about $32, $33 shipped if you bought them all separately. But on Great Star's Amazon page, there was an option to buy used like new, so that's what I did. So I've got about $26 into all 3 of these ratchets. These first 2, I went ahead and pulled them apart and put lube in them. You're going to have to do that on all these Chinese and even the Taiwan ratchets. I've only had one set of Taiwan ratchets that have hardly any kind of lube in them whatsoever right out of the box. I think I had a Work Pro that had some lube in them from the factory. I think I got a video on that. But I knew that these were probably going to come in dry. My last DURATECH did as well. So I went ahead and put lube in these 2 that I knew that I was wanting to try out last weekend. This 1/4 inch must have something in there, because I can see something a little around the selector switch, but selector switch is free moving on all these. Tactile click on the 1/2 inch for sure. Bring these up here and let you take a look at them. This is like a beam, like a paddle style, and it is a twin pawl proto style fine tooth mechanism that's in these. And this design is inherently going to have almost 0 back drag in all the ratchets, whether they're wet or dry. So we'll check out the 3/8 here one for the back drag. Obviously the 1/2 inch one is going to have none just because of the weight of it, but we'll zoom out here and we'll take a look at this 3/8 here. Get it to where will put a socket on it, that way my fingers aren't rubbing on the body. So almost 0 back drag on it. That's me wiggling it. I don't have a 1/4 inch socket to put on it, so hopefully my stubby fat fingers don't rub on the body there. So this one I think is almost dry, but there's 0 back drag on it too. But we'll put these 2 aside, and I'll pause it here and get my torque screwdrivers out, and we'll take a look at the guts real quick. Alright, so it looks like this is going to use a T9 and a T15 for this 1/2 inch version of this ratchet. And these did have some clear thread locker on them when I took the 3/8 and the 1/2 inch apart over the weekend. This screw actually had thread locker all the way up the threads and onto the back side of the screw. It's kind of hard to tell there, but we'll pull this back plate off. This 1/2 inch version's back plate looks to be about 90 thousandths thick, so a little under 1/8 of an inch. And here's that wave washer that I was talking about that they've been putting in the newer versions of this ratchet. We'll put our finger on these pawls to keep them from coming out, and we'll take our anvil out and take a look at it. You see the ball detent, the peening, the crimping is pretty well centered on that, and that's how it is for all 3 ratchets. And I'm just using light 3-in-1 oil in there. That's what I've got down inside of it. Pretty good machining on the inside of it. Both DURATECH sets that I have look really good on the inside. They look as good as that K-Tool International that's Taiwan made. We'll put this guy back in here. We'll keep our finger on those pawls so they don't spit out. There's a spring on each side of that pawl. You want to be real careful when you take these out to clean them out and oil them. I'm not going to take them out right now. There's other videos on YouTube how to do that. But that's how that mechanism switches between those 2 pawls there. Collapses one spring. The other spring pushes the other pawl out. And these are marked with a 9 and then left and right, I guess, to designate the 90 tooth, and obviously left and right. We'll put our wave washer back on there. This one's already been oiled up, but I tend to just use this 3-in-1 oil in all my fine tooth ratchets, anything 60 tooth and above, regardless of whatever mechanism in it. I'll just use 3-in-1 oil in it, and I'll just put a dot here and there on these proto style, and then I'll go around the anvil ring once, and by the time you get this plate cinched back down, it'll be well lubed up. And whatever it doesn't want, it'll just leak out, and it'll be fine. The center screw, I've gone over this before on this style of ratchet. You're going to want to tighten up the tight and then back it off almost a full 3/4 of a turn. That allows that pawl switch, directional switch, to function on the back side. All these ratchets that have that same design, here's a Harbor Freight. It's going to have that twin pawl setup design as well, and that screw is going to be left partially loose with thread locker in it to allow this switch to swing back and forth. Whoop. This is the T15, and we can snug these down to tight. You don't have to go crazy with them. Then you'll check your switch for function. There's a tactile click there. It's fine. We'll check our slop again on these. There's hardly anything on this 1/2 inch as far as slop goes. In and out either. Excuse me. Ball detents, well, the crimp is well centered up on that, the peen. So that looks good. We'll check our, not a lot of slop in these, in the 3/8. Maybe kind of hard to see the ball detent and how well centered up the peening is on that. Looks pretty good. Check our all right, give me a second. We'll go over the overall links real quick on them. All right, we're back there. I'm 1 week out from having pneumonia, and I just had a coughing fit there. look at the overall length on this is about 10.5 on the 1/2 inch, 8 1/4 on the 3/8, right at 6 on the 1/4 inch. Go over that again. 10.5 on the 1/2 inch, 8 1/4 on the 3/8, 6 inch on the 1/4. And they've obviously done something. They've redone these ratchets or something, because they're pretty nice now. I mean, there's no slop in this 1/2 inch. Just a slight bit of slop in the 3/8. We can compare that to another well-known ratchet here real quick. Very little slop in that. Pull these aside and look at this. This is that Harbor Freight 3/8. And years ago, this ratchet used to be manufactured in Taiwan. These DURATECHs are manufactured in China. This Pittsburgh 3/8 is manufactured in China as well now. And you can kind of look at this, has a wave washer in it as well, but you can see the slop on this guy. It's just all over the place. Compare that again to that 3/8 DURATECH here. Man, there's hardly any slop. So I don't know if they just kind of shored up the back plates on them, and then that they obviously must have to. They must have redone the back plates and made the tolerances on these a lot less, and then that wave washer really helped out this ratchet set a lot. So in my mind, these are fairly decent set of budget ratchets. You know, weekend warrior, throw them in your toolbox in your truck or something like that, or just for the everyday guy to be able to use them. And like I said, I bought these again from this Great Star Industrial. This is the company that owns SK Tools now. This is the specs on these. So I just wanted to put them up there and show you. Like I said, I already had the 1/2 inch version of this before, and I've used it at work for almost a year, and I have no complaints with it. It works just fine. And that's in an industrial setting where it's used every day. So, I mean, it's gotten beat up. I should have brought that one home to let you take a look at it, but it seems to be a decent ratchet. And I guess these are probably going to be as well, as long as you're not putting any breaker bars on it. And my first set of DURATECHs was the thin head, low profile, non drop free version, and I thought those were a pretty nice set as well. I still have those in my collection out in the garage and still use those every once in a while. So anyway, I thought I'd put these up there and let you guys take a look at them. All right, take care.